everyone. It's me. I'm back. I've had a very, very good week off. I hope that you forgive me for not producing a whole lot of content in that time. I did promise you some videos, and I started working on those videos. But I decided that rather than try and rush them out on the road, which is what I was originally going to do, that the videos I was producing deserved to be given proper attention and love. You were all very complimentary of the i3 video that we made recently, which I edited, and I decided that I would rather have a well-edited video than try and make a rush job, especially as one of those videos is the Tesla Model 3 review, which I think you all know is coming. And so I hope that you'll forgive me for not publishing sort of many stories. But I had a lovely time in Reno. It was great to see everybody there who was there. I had a little of a meetup with some Transport Evolved viewers at the con. I'm afraid it wasn't quite as organized as I would hope, but I'm going to be in Pittsburgh in July, and I'm going to be doing the same thing. So it is very hot in the car. Unfortunately, I'm parked by Yak's restaurant in California. So I'm pretty close to the Oregon border now, and there's a bee's nest outside. So I've got the windows wound up, and I'm trying not to use the AC so that my car charges as quickly as possible. I left Reno this morning at about 6:45, and I have driven about 260 miles, maybe something like that. I've got 375 to go. This is my first proper stop to charge. I stopped and picked up coffee and some breakfast on the way, and then I stopped in Reading to quick charge. Unfortunately, the 50 kilowatt charger in Reading wasn't working, and then the 25 kilowatt charger was, so I just stopped there a little bit and went on. How about advertising for maintenance and upgrades, EVs, any brand? The differential is tacking in the network, and the own results in longevity of this technology will increase value. I don't understand that question, I'm afraid. I think what you're saying is, why don't I work with a company that upgrades and offers upgrades to EVs? Yeah, I could. For the most part, I have been reticent to work with sponsors because then I can be really free about what I say. And there have been quite a lot of people, friends of mine who work in this industry, who have found the hard way that when you have a sponsor that works to pay you money, that it then affects your editorial impartiality, or it affects your editorial stuff. No, I'm not going to pass out. I have been a lot hotter than this weekend. I was about 120 degrees for 5 hours yesterday. So this is easy. This is super easy. Believe me, it's super easy. So let's talk a little bit about the Tesla restructuring. There's been a lot of videos coming out in the last couple of days, and talk of Tesla's restructuring. And some people are using it as naysayers of doom. All these Tesla executives are leaving, and therefore, bad things are going to happen. But honestly, Tesla mentioned, or Musk mentioned in the earnings call, that Tesla was going to restructure a little bit. And the memo that's gone around is that Tesla is effectively simplifying its management structure, which is not a particularly unusual thing to happen in the business world. Companies generally do it for one of two reasons: either because the management structure is so diverse and so crazy. Excuse me, I'm just going to move my bag. That the management structure is so diverse and so crazy that you can't get anything done. The other option is that it costs that it's just costing a lot of money. And I think probably in Tesla's case, I suspect both of those things come into play. The more executives you have, generally, the more money you have to pay, because executive jobs are generally high paying jobs. But also, if you've got too many executives, it can cause problems. So actually, for Musk saying, hey, we're going to simplify it, does not necessarily mean bad things. I guess that's what I'm saying here. And we just have to wait and see and find out what Tesla has planned. Now, also, obviously, Tesla, the dual motor system is coming out soon. Model 3 configuration supposedly happening this week, opening up configuration. So again, Tesla's looking to simplify things down. And as Samuel Musk notes here, Musk really hates layers of management, which is true. However, at the same point, Musk is not a very good delegator. I have heard from lots of different people who have worked either directly with Tesla or indirectly with Tesla, who say, you know, Musk does like to do does like to do a lot of the work himself, which is fine, but that comes with its own set of problems. So anyway, I don't think we need to panic too much about the restructuring at Tesla, at least not yet. And if the restructuring is a positive restructuring and it makes things go the right way for Tesla and it helps speed up the process, get rid of some of these complicated layers that are currently in place, then it's going to be a good thing. All right, let's read these comments. Did you drag your wife with you on the trip? No, Kate stayed at home. My wife, Kate, stayed at home. She had a lovely weekend because our daughter was away as well. And so rumor has it that she spent most of the weekend playing Overwatch and had a lovely time. I spent most of the weekend preparing for a show and singing and doing things like that. We had a lovely time. Did I get the email about the Renault Zoe? Yes, I did. I'm sorry I haven't responded to it. Long story short, I think I've already got a car arranged, a Zoe already arranged. So I'm waiting for Renault to confirm before getting back to you. But but thank you, Toby. I think we've got something sorted. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do much in the way of bit of work this past week. I haven't checked my email for the best part of a week. I mean, I've been kind of glancing at it, but that's really been it. That's really all I've done. And you know what? It's been fantastic. It really has been. I needed it. And I am a workaholic and I work too hard. And it's been nice for the last couple of weeks or the last week to be able to just not worry about electric cars. I hate to say that. And that's not meaning that I don't want to do coverage of EVs and other things. It's just really nice to have some time off. I am coming to Fully Charged Live. Electrek had a good take on the restructuring in their podcast. I haven't listened to that one yet. Musk is an engineer, so he will have issues like that, but he knows what he wants. He does, but sometimes delegation, being able to delegate is a very important delegate, or you don't listen to the people that you're working with. You can sometimes, that's a better angle for me, you can sometimes cause yourself problems because you end up in a situation where you're relying on someone else to do something, but you're not willing to listen to their opinion or their knowledge. So there we go. On Saturday, Sunday, or both? I'm hoping to go to both. It does kind of depend on family schedules and one thing and another, but I will be there in the UK. I'm doing a panel on Sunday. I can't remember what time it is. I'm doing about 16 gazillion panels between now and the end of the summer. So I can't remember dates and times for them all. They're written down somewhere. I will make sure that there live and whatnot. Talking of panels and what I've been up to, obviously, for those who don't know, I was at a convention at the weekend, which is why my car, look at that, is full of a whole load of things. So we were at I was at a convention. I had a lovely time. I got unplugged, which I will talk to you all about in a second, because that was crazy. Generally, I had a fantastic time. I had a run-in with a security guard last night, which was not pleasant, but there we go. And on Saturday, I was part of a stage performance of that, which I just put on there. So if you click that link that I just put in the stream right there, that is a link to the concert that I did on Saturday night. I was singing in that. It was a live musical performance, and unfortunately, I couldn't hear myself on stage at all, really. So I was very sharp for most of the singing. But if you ignore most of the sharpness, it was quite a good performance. We had 0 rehearsal time. We didn't really sing any of this. Well, we sang a couple of the songs the day before, but we didn't get to sing through the entire score. And the narration in that performance, we were reading cold. We hadn't even read that before. We hadn't even read the script. So it was a bit bizarre. So there we go. So how's the Bolt done on this long distance trip? Well, it's been really interesting. So coming down, heading to Reno, I made a conscious decision that I did not want to be exhausted when I arrived at a convention. So to give you an idea of how busy conventions are, at least for me, I think I walked 50 miles over the course of 5 days. So I was walking average of about 10 miles a day. Some of that was just in, regular clothes. Some of that was doing other things, just a giant animal or whatever. And so I didn't want to be too tired going down. So I decided to split my journey in 2. So day 1, I drove from my house in Portland to a nice little, what I would call a bed and breakfast, but in America, you'd call them like a hotel or a motel. Just south of here, actually, just south of Mount Shasta. And they have a Tesla destination charger. Hello. They have a destination charger, and the destination charger, they also have a lovely Tesla adapter. It's the first time I've ever used the destination to J1772 adapter. And the person who owns that facility decided that they would put 2 Tesla destination chargers in and then keep a little J1772 adapter, so you can plug any EV into these destination chargers. Not a supercharger, a destination charger. So I left the car on charge overnight. And then the next morning I woke up, I left about 8 maybe. I headed south and ended up charging. My first charge was at, I stopped in Reading for breakfast, which I think some of you may have seen in the stream. And then after that, and I did charge for about an hour while I was having breakfast on a slow charger. And then I headed south to Dutch Flats, where I plugged in at the 50 kilowatt 76 garage up there on top of the hill. And then I climbed all the way up over the top of the mountains and then back down the other side into Reno and arrived with about half a tank. So I can't really complain. The Bolt was great throughout the trip and has been great ever since. When I arrived at the convention, the Grand Sierra Resort, which is where we were, they have two Tesla destination chargers and one old J1772 charging station, which is a little bit knackered, to use the British term. We stopped and I plugged in, and there was a Volt parked next to the charging station. They weren't plugged in. They didn't have their door open, anything. I plugged in and walked away. And then about an hour later, my phone got a message saying your car's stopped charging. Of course, I was kind of busy at the time, so I didn't give it a second thought. But then later in the day, we realized that the Volt owner, who was parked next to me, but they weren't charging, had decided to unplug my car and plug their car in. And they then hogged the charger for the next 2 days. So I eventually did get a chance to charge up to full. So I did leave Reno this morning with a full charge. All right. So far it's been pretty good. I left it about 6:30 this morning. It is now 12:36, 12:37. And so I've been on the road for about 6 hours. That does include me stopping and having lunch. Although I wouldn't really call it lunch. I ordered it, and it's kind of like, when you order food, you're like, I'm not really hungry, but I should probably eat. That was how it is. Conventions make me not hungry because you're so busy. You're running around doing stuff, and it actually means you're burning a lot of energy. But for some reason, I don't want to eat at conventions. Anyway, I've got to go. Thank you for the videos. Take care. So if you've got anything else you want to talk to me about in the news this week, now would be a good chance. I'm kind of disappointed that Hyundai has said that there's going to be issues with the Ioniq because they just can't get the batteries, which is kind of a challenge and a worry moving forward. And any car company that can secure their own supply of lithium, I think they're the ones that are going to they're the ones that are going to succeed in the future. Of course, we know Volkswagen's done it, BMW's done it, Tesla's done it, Nissan's done it, at least to some extent. So some places have already started to do that and other places haven't. So there we go. It appears to be a lovely sunny day. It is absolutely gorgeous out there. Like I said earlier, I would open my windows, but there's either a solitary bee or not a solitary bee, the bees that move around, the wasps, the bees that move around and they move a lot. There's a lot of them over there. So, what connectors are in use in the US? Is it J1772? Yes. And also, obviously, the DC CCS, which is like a combination of J1772 with the 2 pins on the bottom. It's just like the one in the UK and Europe. It's just that the top half is J1772 rather than Menenkes. Also, of course, obviously, we have CHAdeMO, and we also have the Tesla charger, the Tesla special chargers. One of my friends has already had a recall on his Ioniq. I'll be interested to know a little bit about what else that involves, because those are not very old, really. How are we doing? We're nearly halfway through. If you've heard me talk about charging infrastructure on the I-5 that between Northern California and Portland, you probably have heard me moan that it's only 25 kilowatts at the moment. The majority of the charging stations, at least, are 25 kilowatts max. So it takes longer to charge up than it would to, say, charge at a 50 kilowatt charging station. So it does mean my trip home is going to be a little longer than I would like, but that's okay. I think I probably spent about $10 thus far on fuel, which is fantastic. I've done 933 miles so far. 933 miles. That's crazy. I've got to unpack this car. I've got to clean videos again. So thank you for putting up with that. Wednesday, rest first. The problem is with that, Thursday I've already got a commitment to do some charity work in a local hospital that I do once a month. It's a charity event that I do with a local group, a local freelance mascot group. We go into children's hospitals, and it's on Thursday this week. And I do not believe the other person who is deemed an organizer can do it, so I'm going to have to do it. But it'll be fine. So I will probably resume tomorrow so that I can get Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays done tomorrow. And then we go from there. We'll go from there. So that's really it. That's everything that's been going on. And we'll hopefully hit the road in about another 30 minutes, I think, and then I will have enough charge to get me all the way to the Seven Feathers, I'll stop at Seven Feathers for a drink and then hopefully straight shot it home. So I'm about 375 miles away from home and I should be able to get home on one more charge after this. So there we go. Have I come across any of the new 150 kilowatt charging stations? The Bolt EV has an 80 kilowatt onboard charger, should be able to charge at least 60 kilowatts. I haven't yet, but rumor has it that there's some coming to i5. So I'm going to do my best and hopefully, if I can keep my fingers crossed, hopefully they'll come soon. So there we go. I just realized my hair is in a complete and utter mess. You guys don't normally see me with my hair down. Well, you see me with my hair down and gelled and styled, but I didn't bother doing that this morning because it was 5:30 in the morning. So there we go. Doesn't look as if the Kona, doesn't look good for the Kona if they're struggling to get their batteries. That is very true. That is very, very, very true. And that worries me slightly, I will admit. But there are other options. I mean, honestly, the Bolt so far has been a really good car for me. Really good car for me. So I'm really pleased with how it's behaved, how it's used, how it's responded to use. My brain is a little frazzled right now, as you can see, because singing and doing so much this weekend and go to conventions and I end up doing panels and performances. A lot of people go out and have fun. I go to conventions to work and have fun. So, yeah, my brain's a bit frazzled. I really like the casual glimpses we get of you, this and the cut-ins from the edit room. Yeah, I mean, I'm just doing it's honestly, this is a live stream because I've been AWOL for a week and people obviously want to know that I'm okay and we're doing. How are the seats doing with wear and tear? We'll see. Let's have a look. I'll try and get out without losing the connection. I'm actually using my car Wi-Fi, so it should be fine. The seats are doing pretty well, look. There you go. Seats are doing pretty damn well. The back seats are doing similarly well. And to be honest, the wear and tear on the car is pretty good. I mean, I've got a couple of scratches here. But overall, she's pretty damn good. So there you go. She's a pretty good car. And I hope in that time we didn't get a wasp or a bee come in. So there you go. I'm looking forward to Fully Charged Live as well. I'm going to be in the UK for about 2 weeks. So pretty good. Pretty good. There. I just put someone on a timeout. Because they were being stupid. The only downside to the Bolt, I think, is the infotainment system is not working all very well, especially not with this phone, it doesn't. It sometimes decides just to cut itself off, and I'll be listening to music on it, and it'll go blur. So there we go. C'est la vie. All right. Someone has me a question. Any news regarding the Rapidgate issue? Is Nissan just ignoring the problem? As far as I'm aware, Nissan are working on the problem, and I don't think you should expect a huge improvement. I get the impression that the throttling will still be there, but I think Nissan will have to come up with a solution because otherwise it's going to look at a class action lawsuit, or it may suffer a class action lawsuit. Now, whether what it wrote in its manual is going to be enough or not, I don't know. We will have to wait and see. That's honestly where we're at right now. The bees are just, there's more and more bees. I'm tempted, I'm a little worried about unplugging because bees tend to be attracted to hot things. Obviously the car's hot right now and the charging station's hot. The car is not hot inside though because it's really nice and cool. I've had the AC on. I'm currently charging though only at 19 kilowatts, which is the problem with this particular slow charging station, but it's better than the 6 that you would normally get. Is there app control for the Bolt? Pre-charge, charge control and stuff? Yes, there is. And is a navigation update over the air? No. The Bolt doesn't have navigation. It has CarPlay, Apple CarPlay, sorry. Yeah, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. And so you use your phone and plug your phone into the car and it then displays navigation from your phone, and that's how it works. The actual operating system can be updated over the air. In fact, let's see if I've got any updates. And go to settings. And then I can scroll down. Software information. Checking for updates. Because we do drive a lot in this car. We do a lot of long distance trips. And this phone, while it's the i5 or whatever, and this car's signal is generally really good. Another Tesla crash. Can someone send me a link? Has that just come in? Quick. Oh dear. San Francisco, eh? Model S hit a concrete wall and burst into flames in Florida. Oh dear. Ooh. Looks like if it did burst into flames, they fixed it pretty easily. But there seems to be quite a lot of Model S crash investigations, or quite a few Model S's being involved in crashes at the moment. Honestly, I think this is down to, I do think this is down to a combination of misunderstanding about the technology, but also over-reliance on the technology. I really do think that's the case. It is so easy to be in a car with autopilot or Nissan ProPilot and want to let the car do it for you because it appears so confident. And I think that's it's in the uncanny valley where it's not fully capable of autonomous driving, but it's good enough to convince you that you can completely trust it. And I think that is that's the challenge. Tesla was stolen in the early hours today. They somehow yanked out the charger and got away without alarming anyone. Red Model X in London found on Reddit. Well, okay, so it is possible to spoof, these RFID tags that you get, and criminals, what they do is they create a network. So someone will go and stand by your front door, and it will pretend to be the car, so that this communicates with that as if it's the car. And then after that, they'll have a laptop that's then communicates to the car and pretends to be the key. So it means that a key that operates on a proximity system can be used to open a car. Now, I don't think that necessarily Tesla uses that system, but there we are. Where are we? Blah, blah, blah. Also, just more EVs on the road, so obviously more crashes. I don't think this is about EV crashes, though. This is about autopilot crashes or autonomous car crashes or semi-autonomous car crashes. And the issue here is that people assume these vehicles are fully autonomous when they're not. They're just not fully autonomous, and people treat them as such, and that's when we're getting into these bothersome, troublesome situations, because people assume that the vehicle is capable of autonomous driving when it isn't, and they over rely on it. It's not good. It's not good. And I think until we actually have this, and I get a lot of hate on this channel because I've always said we need to educate people on autonomous vehicle hardware, and I'm very, very much pro legislation. Every car, pretty much, for the last 80 years or so, has operated in the same way. You have a steering wheel, and I say nearly, because there are some cars that don't have them. Every car pretty much has a steering wheel. They'll have a gear selector, whether that be automatic or whether that be manual. They have a brake pedal. They have an accelerator pedal. And if the car has a manual clutch, they'll have a clutch pedal. And the layout of the clutch pedal, brake pedal, and accelerator haven't changed. And the layout of the steering wheel and the operation of the indicators generally don't change. There are some differences in some markets. So yes, if you have a Japanese car, the indicators are on the other side and the wipers are on the side where you're normally expecting the indicators to be. But aside from those minor differences, they all pretty much operate in the same way. Obviously, that wasn't the case way back when the Model T was being made. If you've ever seen anybody talk about the Model T has 3 pedals, but those pedals don't operate anything like modern car pedals. So what we have here is this new technology coming to market, which operates in a different way on every single car. So on the Model S and X and 3, you tap your stalk to get your autopilot to come on. On the Nissan Leaf, if you want ProPilot, you press a button on the steering wheel. Other cars have different buttons to activate similar features. And so you end up with a situation where people are put into a situation where they don't necessarily understand how the system works, and they don't necessarily understand how the system works in terms of turning it on or turning it off. And I've been confused in a Tesla before operating autopilot, because I don't drive the Tesla all that. I don't drive Teslas all that much. And sometimes I have to kind of really check my brain to make sure I'm doing it right. Make sure that the car is operating in autopilot mode before going, okay, the car is doing some of the driving. Bye-bye, Jonathan. To solve the key issue, couldn't a software patch be created where the true owner of the car would have to enter a password in addition to having the keys before you can drive off? Now, this is a really interesting thing, because some automakers are investigating biometrics, face scanners, for example. If you think about any car with autonomous driving capabilities now has cameras. And so you could set it so that the camera on the car does face recognition. Because obviously, if your car's got semi-autonomous technology or autonomous technology, recognizing your face is kind of easy. That's kind of preschool stuff to a car that can drive itself, or at least part of it. And I think that's one option. Interestingly, when some countries like Israel, for example, have a special PIN box that I believe is mandated so that when you get in the car, you have to enter your PIN code before the ignition will work. And it's done in Israel to stop people stealing cars and then using them as bombs or weapons. So there we go. How much is a Model S again? Well, Model S's are about $70,000 upwards. Do you think that we will start to see the end of the manual gearbox driving test? Well, obviously that's in the UK. In the US, most people don't drive stick, as they call it over here. Most people drive automatic. And I do think that we're going to start to see people lose that over here. Funnily enough, I have a very high number of friends who drive manual cars or who have manual cars. It might just be because of the kind of people that I mix with, but yeah, a lot of them do, and obviously the Pacific Northwest. I can't talk today. Manuals are more popular up here. Greetings from Miami. I read that the BMW i3 is very unprofitable and that they lease it with a loss. Any thoughts? That doesn't surprise me at all. I think, honestly, there are very few cars out there that are electric or hybrid that make their automakers money. If you watched my stream last week, I talked about how Toyota had to wait until the third generation Prius before it started to make a profit on its HSD, its hybrid synergy drive technology. They just jacked up the price of the i3 in the UK, yeah. All right. Okay. Boop. All right. Alex had some interesting news last week, and he just reminded me of it. So, Fisker, the new Fisker, not the old Fisker, the new Fisker is going to supposedly come to market in 2020 with a solid-state battery pack. Did I get that right? You know? I think I did. I'm doing that off memory. And like I say, my brain is a little frazzled due to everything that I've been up to. When at a mid-range to low state of charge, on the fastest available charger to your Bolt, how much charge will 15 minutes get you? Mid-range to low-range state of charge, 15 minutes should get me... I would say 30 to 40 miles, depending on how I drive the car. Because, I mean, right now I'm at 121 miles. And when I started this stream, I was at 70. So, and that's on this is on a slow fast charger, if that makes sense. So there we go. Oh, there we are. What was I going to say next? Someone asked me a question. I was going to talk about it, and now I can't remember what it was. I'm sorry, my brain is a bit frazzled. Anyway, as I was saying earlier on, normal service will be resumed, hopefully next week, and then, hopefully midweek. And then I'm going to be in the US for another 2 weeks, and then I'm coming to the UK at the beginning of June, and I'll be there for about 10 days. And then I will be back in America for another 2 weeks. Normal service will be resumed. And then I'm going away for another break holiday. Well, it's not really a holiday. It's kind of a fun thing that I do, which I have to plan panels for. So that's the other thing I have to do. So I'm going to be planning panels, and then hopefully I'll have a proper break at some point. But that's a long way into the future. That really is. Anyway, thanks for talking to me. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting Transport Evolved. Thanks for being patient about there not being any content for a week. I really needed the break. If you haven't watched the musical, it is a little cringy because we didn't rehearse, but go watch the musical. That's fun. It's different. Shows a different side of what I get up to sometimes. I would share with you closing ceremonies yesterday from the Biggest Little Fur Con, because that was amazing. I was off stage at the back sweltering in Queenie Deerheart, and because they put a microphone in my mouth, or they put a microphone they put a microphone on me, a boom mic, so that I could sing for closing ceremonies. And then, of course, I had a giant head on top, and the radio mic tapped to the back of my neck, and that meant I couldn't take the head off, and so I was hot and sweltering for about 3.5, 4 hours. Finally, when I got the head off, though, it was really a big relief. But during closing ceremonies for this convention, it was announced that the convention, a 3-day convention, okay, 3-day convention, raised $30,000. $30,000 for a local animal sanctuary that specializes in exotic animals, so animals that have been either illegally kept as pets, or are at zoos that have been shut down, or circuses, etc., etc. $30,000. I mean, that's just incredible. Thought you were going to have an empty car on the way home. So did I. The bowling balls are not in the car. They're going back with someone else. But 3 of the things that were supposed to be handed off and not brought back ended up needing to be brought back. But the guy who asked me to bring them back, I love him, so it's all right. I don't mind. I don't mind putting them in the car and bringing them back for him. So that's it. I'm done. I hope you have an enjoyable evening. If you're in sort of east of the Greenwich Meridian that it's tomorrow, I hope your day goes well. Take care. Bye.